Hello. All right. Hello. Yay, it's working. Oh, hi. I see you too. Okay, there is a little bit of a delay by about 3 or 4 seconds. That's okay. How does everything sound, Kev? Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy to be back on. I took last week off to go to a workshop in Lake Tahoe, a sculpture workshop in Lake Tahoe, which was super fun and super hard. I'm excited to share with you. Maybe I'll do that once we see who's on. I know. I don't really know what to do about that. It's really blurry.
Probably an adjustment on. Well, it's definitely. This looks nice, really nice, and then you look at that, and it's like.
I don't know how to fix it without like stopping the whole live stream, and so I guess we're just gonna have to be a little blurry today. I'm not really sure what else to do. I guess I could change cameras so that the
Am I the only one joined?
There's the iPad. I can click on the settings, maybe. Properties. Find out if there's something going on with those settings that needs to be changed, you know? Let's see. Maybe if I can move this closer. Hmm. Well, I was trying to troubleshoot why the iPad is a little blurry, and I can't quite figure it out. So I apologize for that. Um, Not sure. Okay. Hi, whoever else is on. I was trying to troubleshoot why my big camera is blurry and I can't quite figure it out. So we're just gonna roll with it today. It's a little blurry. I hope that you're still able to see what I'm doing. But first, I just wanted to share that. So last week, I got to go to this amazing sculpture workshop in Lake Tahoe. So every summer, the University of Nevada at Reno does these summer art workshops at Lake Tahoe. And I wanted to share, it was a really challenging workshop, but I wanted to share this with you. I hope you can see. But this, let's see, this is the facility that I went to. It's the Holman Arts and Media Center in Incline Village in Nevada. And I got to be in this first room down here, and it was a really lovely facility. There was all kinds of workshops happening during the week. And this workshop was about sculpture, like the power of metaphor and storytelling in sculpture. And the workshop leader, her name is Kelsey Bowen, and she does these amazing figures, human bodies with animal heads, mostly rabbits. She grew up with rabbits. Her family rescued them. She's had them her whole life. She's obsessed with rabbits. It's very cute. So many of her sculptures are like these young kind of bodies, like they're from her childhood, memories of her childhood and things that she's processing from her childhood. And they're very detailed, they're very beautiful. And so this is one of her sculptures. And so our whole lesson for the week was creating a moving body that had gesture in it and then an animal head. And keep in mind, I've only made bodies that are like from the neck to the hips. And so just this part of the torso. I've never made arms or hands or fingers or feet or legs or toes. And we probably could have spent a week on each one of those elements because they're all so detailed. And so that's the part that was really challenging and really hard and also very interesting. I learned so much about gesture and about how to hold things loosely. She was such a great teacher in giving us permission to change our minds about stuff. And like if we attached an arm this way and we didn't really like it and we wanted it back here, we could just kind of rip off the arm, and she showed us how to replace it. And so that was good. So anyway, my piece, my original vision was that I wanted to do this kind of this running woman. I have this story of this time, not even that long ago, that Kevin and Megan and I were hiking out in the redwoods, and we were going up this one offshoot of the path, and it sort of got grown over and we didn't really know for sure where we were going. And I had that moment of anxiety of like, I hope we don't get lost or whatever. And I just remember being out there and thinking, what would my ancestor do? Like, I feel so connected to this land, to these trees. And I just kind of went into my imagination and pretended that I was my ancestor who was actually from this part of the forest. And she wasn't nervous. She knew the way. She knew this place like the back of her hand. And like I pictured her like just kind of squatting down and running through the forest and just being like really in action and like wild woman, and I kind of so I had this idea of, and I pictured her with antlers on her head. So for this workshop, I was like, well, I'm going to make that figure of this woman running through the woods or like in motion through the woods with, assurance. And I was going to make her with a deer head. So that was my intention. And it went totally a different direction, as it often does with clay. So I ended up making this very weird sculpture. Now, I want to say I didn't bring it home because we ended up not, we weren't going to fire them. This was mostly just about skill building and technique. And we actually didn't have time to fire them at the end. So I knew that I was going to be, if I was going to keep this piece, it was going to have to figure out a way to come home without breaking. And as you can see, there's lots of breakable parts on this. So I decided early on in the week that I was just going to, make this a temporary piece and just practice. And so when I started making the deer head, I'd never made a deer head. So I was like, well, let me go look at a skull first to see if I can understand the structure of the head and how far out it comes out and everything. And hi, Jenny. So glad to see you. I was just telling the story of this sculpture workshop that I was at last week. And so as I've started to make the skeleton, I actually really liked the way that it was coming out. And it wasn't quite a deer skeleton. So I just decided to make it some weird creature, fantasy creature. And this is what it turned out like. And I was like, what is this? And where is this coming from? But I don't know. She's creepy, you know? This is as far as I got. I did make legs, but I was never able to put them on because I ran out of time. But this is what I made, and she's creepy as all get out. Then we learned how to make clothes, which is a matter of like throwing down a slab over and over again on a table in order to really thin it out and to make it, very pliable like clothing. And that was the final day, and I didn't have a whole lot of time, but I played with it. So I put this cape on it. Let's see if I. Oh, there's a leg I put on just to see what she would be like sitting. Very weird. Oh, here's the cape. So this is the cape that I put on, and I loved it. I was like, oh, this changes the whole story. Like with this thing, I had this vision of a real high collar coming down. I was gonna make it like really low cut here, and just, but anyway, it turned out to be a cape because I ran out of time. But I kind of loved it. So anyway, all that to say that by the end, it all just went back in the bag, and I brought the clay home, and it's gonna be rehydrated, but it was fun and I learned a lot. And yeah, that's I came home feeling a little defeated at first. I think I was the only person that didn't save her sculpture. Everybody else was so much farther along than me, and they had these amazing ideas. I mean, these people were incredibly talented. And I had a little bit of a time on the way back of like, oh my gosh, I'm so not skilled, I shouldn't be doing this, who do I think I am, like, all of that. Because comparison just will do that. Comparison really is the thief of joy. And I remembered who I was when I got home, and I remembered that it isn't about, for me, it's not about necessarily getting my pieces into galleries and becoming this fine artist. And that's not what it is for me. I do this because I love it, and I don't want to put so much pressure on my art that it has to like be at a certain level, or I don't know. I want to make it. I want to make art just because I want to just feel what comes out of me, and most of the time, like with this thing, I don't know what it is, but and it's also for me just so much about connection with other people. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and trust that I'm on the right path. I know I'm on the right path because I can't imagine doing anything else. But anyway, today I'd like to get back to this little mushroom house that we started 2 weeks ago before I left. She's been wrapped up in moist newspaper since then. And we're just going to take it off, and we're just going to keep working on it and see what happens. So I'm just peeling this. The newspaper is nice because it's very form fitting, so it can really keep close to the piece and keep it hydrated, and it's done a very good job. It's quite moist, actually. Oh, and then I have the underside stuffed with plastic, so I'll take that out too. So that's kept it really nice and moist. And So as I recall, we've put a couple windows in the back. We've put a door in the front that I still need to put some texture in, and we've got this nice little moon window up there. Here's the other one. I went ahead and finished this yesterday off camera because it was getting pretty dry. And so here's what I did with this one. A little bit different, you can see, with the doors. But so this one, it was kind of had a big area. I mean, it was kind of leaning. How do I say it? I don't know how to make my hands. The back end was kind of coming out like this. And so I wanted to add something to the front to kind of give it, to kind of even out the profile. I'm not used to this camera being up above me, so I'm gonna, sorry about that. But anyway, there she is. I didn't put a little moon up here, but I did texturize the house. So it's got these little holes that look like a mushroom. And then I added these stretch marks to make it feel like these things are growing out of the trunk. I really like the way that looks. Then I added some coils here that I poked to give them some texture. And it'll hold a little tea light. This is one of my favorite things to do. I think it's so charming. Let's see if we can get this to turn on. Yeah, so it'll hold this is so hard to do. It'll hold this tea light in here and you'll be able to see it through these windows and stuff. It's very cute. Yeah. Okay. So that's how I finished that one. Put a little chimney on it. The chimney's drying up faster than every other part. You can see that it's like white or like really ashy compared to the rest of it because it's all dry. All right. So now we're going to kind of do that same thing with this one. We're going to add some details to it to make it look really cute. So the first thing I think I want to do, it's still very moist. Man, that paper worked really effectively. I think I want to put the chimney on so we can get that going. Or, let's see. So the insides are where I've poked through into the windows. It's kind of, it's left a lot of goop on the inside. So I'm going to go in there and clean that up a little bit. Only because when somebody turns this piece over, you know, to put the tea light in there or anything, you know, I want it to look nice on the inside too. If it was a closed form, I wouldn't care that much about it. I wouldn't spend time cleaning up the inside if I was going to close it up. But since I'm not, I want it to look kind of refined and finished on the inside. So I'm just smearing off some of that excess clay from the windows. I'm just using this little like sculpture tool in here, and I'm just kind of using it to go in there and take off that clay and smooth those walls. Now, as I did that, the windows need to be cleared out again. They're a little oh, you know what? I forgot to read my card to start off. I knew I was missing something, and I'm feeling a little out of sorts. And so I want to do that. I want to take a second and get grounded in the space and feel. So I had pulled out this card earlier, but then I didn't read it. So it's called what you want wants you. I love that. So cool. I'm really into spirals lately, and spirals are showing up everywhere. Okay, I'll turn off the music. Sorry if you can hear that helicopter. There's a really loud helicopter outside. I've got the garage door wide open because it's beautiful today. Do you dare to believe that what you want is also wanting you? The genuine desires of your heart are the sacred purpose of the soul, swathed in pleasure. Ooh, yes, please. The genuine desires of your heart are the sacred purpose of the soul, swathed in pleasure. Yet, if you have been shamed, judged for, or made to feel guilt over, or denied your natural desires and pleasures in any way, you may have developed a very tricky and complicated relationship with the yearnings of your heart. We often learn to distrust our own desires and come to believe that they are something to be overcome or avoided. We may even try to want second best, disbelieving that we are worthy of our first choice, of what we really genuinely want and would fulfill us deeply. Woo, that hits. We may try to want second best, disbelieving that we are worthy of our first choice, of what we really genuinely want and would fulfill us deeply. Perhaps we've conditioned ourselves to believe that getting what we want is for others, not us. Okay. I think this card's going to bring me to tears because this is exactly how I was feeling after this workshop of like, oh, that's for everyone else. That's not for me. I don't get to have that skill level because I found this art too late in life. Um, yeah, that's what I was feeling. This oracle comes with a healing message for you. First, trust in what you truly want, not the substitutes and make dos, but what would truly bring a sense of passionate, playful purpose and fulfillment to your life. You may not know anything more than I want to sing, or I want to write, or I want to help animals, or I want to paint. Start with what you know and hold it in your heart as you do the healing process below. If you genuinely do not know what your heart wants, you will very much enjoy the process of exploring your desires by making gentle and persistent inquiries of yourself. Ask yourself what it is that truly moves you. Give this matter consistent attention without forcing a response. Your answers may come in a sudden flood or slowly over time. As you get to know your genuine desires and give yourself permission to feel and receive them, a powerful sequence is set in motion. From the depths of the universe, your desire hurtles its way towards you as the perfect manifestation. It's coming to you even now, manifesting itself as the best situation or relationship or circumstances to bring fulfillment to your heart, radiance to your life path, and creative awakening. So don't give up. Keep dreaming of your fulfillment, but don't imagine it as always awaiting you in some distant future. Instead, play with what it will feel like to be so fulfilled right now. Oh, I love that. There's this idea of playing in the imagination of the thing it is that you really want and like diving deep into make believe. What does it smell like? Who's there? What are the conversations? What are you seeing around you? What kind of nature is around you? And just, back when we were kids, we used to really be able to dive into make believe, and we thought that it was real, at least for the moment. And so that's kind of what this is saying, like play with what it will feel like to be so fulfilled right now. How will you feel different? Will you be more grateful, more peaceful and content, more confident, more trusting of your ability to create? And in the loving responsiveness of this wild universe, cultivate those feelings. Get to feel what genuine desire and the meeting of that desire that can then generate yet new desire is like for you. Give yourself permission to go there right now. Remember that if you have people in your life who are shutting you down, suggesting that what you want is not possible or that you're aiming too high, then they need this healing too. Perhaps you can inspire them by giving yourself permission to heal. This will naturally open them to the idea that they could give themselves permission to know and fulfill their unique desires too. Whether someone chooses to be inspired by you or to be fearful of your innate creative power is completely up to them. This oracle brings you the message that whether you see it coming or not, your desire is already on its way to you. It's closer than you think, and soon you'll be able to see it, touch it, feel it, and enjoy it. You will then become inspired for your next manifestation based on the true desires of your heart. So the healing process says repeat this statement 3 times with feeling. What I want wants me, and I am open, willing, and capable to receive it through unconditional love now. So that's great. What you want wants you. Yeah, you know, the things that are true desires on your heart, those don't come from the ether. You know, those come from deep within our hearts and deep within our souls. And, you know, trusting that those desires and wants are met for us and meant for us. That's what I meant for us is challenging. And also, if we can believe that what we want wants us, I think it can change our lives. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to light my incense. I have Palo Santo incense that smells so delicious. Got my little incense dish here that I made. It's got some incense on it, but I'm gonna light that and put it over here. Guys, look at this beautiful flower from my, look at this beautiful rose from my garden. Isn't that amazing? Look at how huge it is. I mean, there's my hand. It's gorgeous. And it smells literally divine. All right, I'm just going to start playing with this guy. The moon is a little weird. It's a little out of round. It's okay. I struggle so much with circumferencey things or like making things round, and I love moons so much, and I put moons on a lot of things. Man, I got to figure out how to make moons in a way that, you know, they can look bad very quickly. You know, they can just look like the letter C, which this one kind of does, but oh well. So this is still pretty wet, and so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do right now that's gonna make sense. I think I will add the chimney. Let's do that. Nice fresh clay. So what I typically do is start off and make the mushroom cap first for the chimney. And they don't need to be very big. So I typically just rub it around, get a little ball going, and then try to make a little pointy top, mushroom shaped little top by pinching the top of it like this. Okay, so there's my little chimney. I made it a little too wet, so I'm going to set it there. It's a little squared off, so I'm going to try to round it out again. There, I like that. Now I'm going to make a little place for the stem. So I'm just, that's a little big. Looking for my paintbrush, which I've seemed to have misplaced. I swear I spend half my time, oh, there it is, looking for things. Okay, so I'm using the end of this paintbrush. I like it because it's a nice tapered end, and I'm just going to use it to make a little hole in the base of this mushroom. Oops, I went all the way through. That's okay. We're just going to close that off again just by pulling some clay over that hole. There. And now I've got the hole down here. I'm going to make it a little bit wider. Okay, then I'm going to take another little piece of clay and I'm going to roll out the stem. Again, tapering it at the top because I want a thicker base to attach to the roof. But you don't want it too tall because you want it to look like it belongs on the house. And so this one is definitely too tall. So I'm going to cut off some here. Make my hole a little bit bigger again. So that's what it looks like. And then I got to just still figure out if that's the right size. I think I want it, I think that's fine, actually. I think I'm going to take off a little bit of this top of the mushroom and make it a little bit flatter. There, I like that chimney. That's very cute. It's very small. So now I'm going to pat the bottom of it just to give it a little bit of a flat surface to put up against the, to attach. And I'm actually making it kind of sloped so that I can put it on the roof at an angle. So I'm just going to put it on this side. Now I'm wondering if it's too small. Let's see. So now I just look at it in proportion to this and decide if I like it. And I think I do. I tend to make my chimneys a little bit bigger, and then my husband's like, you know, it's a little out of proportion. It doesn't need to be that big. So I'm going to do this one. And so now I want to attach the top of the mushroom chimney to the base. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add, use my needle tool to do a little bit of scratching inside that cap where they're going to attach, and a little bit of scratching here. Just, you know, I don't know if scratching is the right word, but just getting it a little roughed up here. And then a little bit more on the bottom where it's going to attach to the house. And then I got to decide where it's going to sit. I think I'll do it right there. So then I'm going to scratch that place on the house, maybe pretty rough actually. That's one thing I learned at the workshop is she wasn't super delicate where her attachments were. She kind of dug in there with the clay. I'm sure part of it depends on the clay that you're using, and we were using V-Mix with Grog, but it just gave me permission to feel like I can dig in there a little bit, and the clay is going to be okay, you know. I'm adding a little bit of white vinegar to the attachment parts. So I'm going to add this first. Okay, so now I've got the mushroom cap on, and I'm just kind of squeezing it a little bit against the stem. You know, I'm going to be honest, I don't like this stem. I don't like this one. It's not feeling uh it's not feeling very stable. I'm going to do another one. It had been Lake Tahoe was so fun. It had been I had not been up to Tahoe since before COVID. So I had forgotten, and I'd never been to Incline Village. And I got to tell you, it's so beautiful up there. And summer in the mountains makes me so happy. Brings back so many memories of being a kid in Colorado. And I just think summer in the mountains is pretty magical. I especially love aspen trees and all the flowers, and it's so green. And so, if you haven't been to Tahoe for a while and you live in the area, I would highly recommend. Although it is expensive up there. Everything is right now, though, right? So again, I'm making a hole in that mushroom cap and kind of widening it up just a little bit for the stem. So there's the hole. And then I'm going to make a stem that I like. All right, let's see, my little mushroom. Now that's got. Okay. I think I like that one better. Let's see. I definitely like that one better. This one feels a little bit more, I don't know, just the shape of the mushroom and everything, and this the size of it feels a little bit more in line with this piece. So I'm going to kind of go through. I actually have already attached the base to the cap in a way it feels pretty secure, so I don't think I'm going to pull it apart to add more vinegar or anything. I'm just going to kind of make sure that the pieces are sticking together. All right, so you can see that the stem has been attached pretty well to the mushroom cap, and now I want to attach it to my piece. So again, I've scratched this pretty good here. And don't be afraid to scratch a bigger area than what's needed, because we're gonna fill all that in anyway. Okay, a little bit of vinegar. Oh my, I have some fruit flies in here. That's weird. All right, I'm gonna add vinegar to the scratched surface of my piece. And a little bit of vinegar here. And then I'm gonna attach. Ah, I just tried to turn my piece without it being on a turntable, which was a dumb thing because it twisted this top a little bit. Oh well. Okay, so I'm looking at placement. I want it to be on the side. I think that looks great. So I'm going to set it right there. Get it kind of smushed on there. Wiggle it back and forth a little bit just to get that connection secured. And then I'm going to blend. I'm going to take a little bit more of this fresh clay, and I'm going to add a little coil around the base so that, it's like a little caulk or whatever. Caulk, Caulk, not little cock like COCK. Hi, Maggie. How are you? Thanks for joining. All right, so I've added a little coil onto the base, and now I'm just going to use one of these handy little tools to blend it in. So I'm just using this sculpting tool to just kind of blend that coil into the piece to secure that attachment. Then I'm going to just So I've kind of smushed it in there, and now I'm using this tool to kind of blend that coil up into the base. Okay. So I now have it attached, and I'm just checking the orientation to make sure it's sticking back a little bit, like it's kind of moving that direction. So I'm just going to gently kind of push it up a little without breaking it. And then I'm going to take this rubber tool, if I can find it. Where did I put it? Oh, this one. I love this rubber tool. So it's got like a tapered end, and it's flexible at the end. So I'm going to use that to kind of smooth that joint again. And it also kind of compresses, which is, you'll hear that word a lot with clay. You want to compress it, which is a way of like, I don't know. I don't know what the scientific thing is, but it's like it lines the clay particles up together, I guess, and just makes them more stronger. Okay. So I've got my little roof on now. And now I think I can work on this door a little bit more. I want to go ahead and texturize it and attach the doorknob. I'm just kind of getting rid of some of the excess gunk that's in there right now. And, you know, a lot of this, there's a lot of cleanup right now. There's like a lot of clay boogers from the carving and stuff, but this clay is still a little too wet. Like if I just try to clean it up right now, I'm just going to make more boogers. I got to come up with another name for clay boogers. I hate that word, but so there's like a lot of rough areas from the carving that, but the clay, if the clay is dry enough, they'll just flake right off, but this clay is still pretty wet, and so it's just getting, they just kind of move around instead of coming off. So I'll wait for most of the cleanup until later. Right now the door is ajar, which is what we wanted. I'm going to clean up these hinges a little bit. Right now I'm just dragging this tool kind of around the hinges just to clean them up a little bit, give them a little bit of shadow. One thing that was really inspiring for me about the workshop last week was Kelsey, the instructor. She's really big on paying attention to the details. Like there's certain things that she thinks don't matter a lot, but she's really pays attention to adding shadows and undercuts and things to give something like a three-dimensionality kind of realistic effect. And I don't know, she helped me to um, remember that taking some time for the finishing of the details is actually can be really, really important. And so I definitely want to do more of that. But it takes time, to learn how, like, she was talking a lot about undercuts and how to make shadows, but I didn't really understand some of it, of like how she did it, the technique that she used, and and I think all of that just comes with time of figuring out, and continuing to learn from people who are better than you. So right now I'm kind of making a little border on my door, or not border, what do I want to say? Like a little chamfered edge on my door to make it look a little bit more honed. And I'm just using this tool at an angle. But again, see, my clay is so wet that it's leaving a lot of residue behind. That's okay. Just got to be patient to do things in the right timing. Okay. Again, I'm just taking my paintbrush right now and kind of going into the windows to just smooth out the rough cut that I had in there. Just kind of give everything a little bit of a better finish. A little paintbrush like this is a really big benefit to have in the studio, because paintbrushes can be used not just for painting, but I use them a lot for detail work. And when the clay is wet enough, it can move the clay around into really small spaces that you can't get a tool into. It can refine and blend, take the sharp edges off. So like a little toothbrush, a little paintbrush is an invaluable asset to have in the studio. So I'm just going in right now and continuing to kind of clean up these windows because they're pretty messy. All right. All right, so I cleaned up that window a little bit. Now I'm going to clean this one up a little bit too. See, where's the tool? Oh, here it is. back to my paintbrush again, just to kind of smooth those out. Clean that up in there. Okay, so there's that window. That looks better. All right. So I'm going to show you how I carve wood grain. So I usually like to carve wood grain first and then add the door handle so that the door handle sits on top of the wood grain. Right now I've got clay that's like stuck underneath this door, so I'm just trying to clear this out a little bit. There we go. See all that came out? Now, what I almost just did was I almost just knocked the mushroom off by not paying attention when I was turning it over like this. I almost knocked the mushroom chimney on my table, which I have done that plenty of times. So be careful. All these things are fragile. Just being aware of where your hands are placed, where your table is. This is a funky door, guys. So I've been using tools to try to clean up inside the door, and I've like added a lot of jabs and stuff to the actual door frame. So now I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. This is lots of back and forth, you know, when you're working with texture and trying to make sculptures, lots of like doing one thing and then going back to it later to clean it up and then going back to it later to clean it up again, and it's just part of it. Okay. You know, I'll probably go back after this dries up a little bit more and just kind of fix that door a little bit more, but I'm not going to spend too much time on cleanup right now with that. Instead, let's see if it's dry enough to add texture. So I usually start with the rubber, the rubber tip tool, just to kind of test how dry the clay is, and I can just, bring a line down, and I can see that the clay is a little too wet. If I try to go through it right now with a carving tool, let's see. Like, let me show you one of the ones that I've used before. So this tool here has got a really fine tip. So I can carve, but see how it leaves these shavings behind? It's so wet right now that I'm going to get a ton of those, and it's just going to look messy. So what I think I'm going to do is I actually think I'm going to hit the door so that I can do it on the live stream. I think I'm going to hit it with my heat gun, if I can remember where I put my heat gun. That's one of those things that I thought, oh, here it is. Wow, this house is so out of round. Probably when I went to cut the door open, I smushed one side of it. It's okay. So this is my heat gun, and I'm just gonna concentrate on the door for a sec. And this heat gun works really good, so I don't want to have it on there for too long. Wow, it started working right away. As you can see, it started turning the hinges already that ashy color because it dried those out so fast. So you got to be careful. Yeah, so that worked pretty effectively. I can tell just by running this along that it's much easier. So now let's see what it's like when I carve now. See, it doesn't leave nearly as many boogers now. And so I'm just gonna carve down with this guy, and I love to make like little knots in the wood, as you see in real wood. So I like to make like little things like that, and then sometimes I switch carving tools just depending on what I need. So now I'm just taking a brush. I have kind of this stiff bristled brush that I use sometimes to wipe off the carving little boogers. If you wait long enough, they just brush right off. This is a stylus tool that sometimes can work too. I'm just practicing with different tools to see what I like that I want to continue using for this. Here I'm making another little knot up here, just kind of a little circle, and then I'm going to float the wood grain on either side of it. And what I love about wood grain is that it's so forgiving, right? Like you can kind of have it do whatever you want and it's going to look like wood grain. But I like to add in all kinds of variations because that's what I see out in nature, you know? They're never just straight lines. Sometimes I'll add just like little, you know, not really a hole, but like a little indent because you see those on wood, and then I'll just keep following the lines down in ways that make sense. And you know, a lot of the lines on wood don't connect, you know, they look like they connect, but sometimes they don't. So I try to leave some disconnections here and there. I love doing these kinds of, I love doing texture. I just love it because like with wood grain, it's so fun because in no time at all, it really looks like wood. And, you know, I'm not doing anything special here. I'm just carving lines down, but it's really easy to make wood grain, I think. And I'm even varying like the sizes of the lines so that they don't all look to be exactly the same, and that's another reason that it's fun to change tools. If anybody has any questions, please always feel free to ask. I'm happy to talk about my process or anything else happening. Oh my gosh, I just heard the saddest news. So, the studio where I learned how to do clay, it was called Clay by the Bay in San Francisco, and it was a lovely, magical place. I loved it, and it's been around forever. Well, they just closed their doors like this last week. Kind of surprised people. It was unexpected. And yeah, I guess the owner just ran into major financial difficulty and couldn't make it work, and she had health issues, and so they just suddenly closed their doors. I don't know if they're going to try to I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to find a buyer or whatever, but I know that it was a very beloved space, and we had several, really well-known artists who came through our doors and taught with us. And anyway, just one of those sad things that you hear about. I hope everything's okay, and I hope that the people who worked there are able to find new work. And yeah. So I just hit it one last time to just dry off those little boogers that I had so I could brush them off. So I don't know if I've ever talked about mushroom houses before, or even just mushrooms, but I don't 100% know why I got into making mushrooms so much and why I'm just like so obsessed with them. I remember the very first one I made, I still have it. It's called the OG. And I was making a pinch pot, and I was like, oh, I was making just, a little pinch pot with my hand, and I was like, oh, that looks like a mushroom top. How cute is that? And so then I just added a little base to it, and it was so basic and also so charming, and I loved it. I the way I glazed it, and I mean, it was this little tiny thing, but there was something about making a mushroom that made me so happy. And I literally just follow it. Mushrooms remind me a little bit of my dad, Jack. And he was into kind of kitschy things. And I feel like I remember growing up, I feel like we had a wall hanging like in the kitchen or something that was maybe embroidered or whatever. That was mushrooms. And so mushrooms somehow remind me of Jack, of my dad. And I don't, when I say my dad, he was the dad who raised me. He wasn't my biological father. My biological father is still living, and he's still very much part of my life, and we're very, very supportive, and he often comes on and watches these. But the man who raised me was named Jack, and Jack really liked mushrooms for some reason, or at least that's my memory. And so yeah, I've always found them to be very charming. I feel I also have such an affinity for them as plant medicine. They have been instrumental in my life and in other people's lives in just, yeah, changing the course. They're very powerful little intelligent creatures, and somehow they just delight people to no end. And I love that. And so when I make mushroom houses, they delight me too. And I don't have any artistic reason for doing them other than they just delight me. And I think that's enough, right? And they still do. I mean, I've made dozens and dozens of these little mushroom houses. And every time I make one, I'm delighted all over again because they're all different. And I don't know, there's just something about the little details that make me smile. There's something about the whimsical fantasy nature of them, you know? I think that's why I love fairy houses so much. Mushrooms also just, you know, just in terms of science, like you know, the mycelium network and the way they communicate with each other and they communicate with the rest of the forest and they help carry messages from one forest type of plant to another, and they are crucial in our own human um, what do I want to say, like renewal of our, you know, putting they're essential for decomposition, right, and renewal, and I think that's pretty cool. So I'm using this needle tool to clean up underneath the door frame, and I think it's not the right tool because I keep just making making more of a mess because it digs into the clay. But I think I've almost got it here. Yeah, there we go. That's looking better. Okay, so there's the wood grain door. I hope that you can see that. Pretty good. Still trying to get used to the overhead camera. And now I'm going to put on the little doorknob. And on this door, I've got to decide if I want it to be a center doorknob or if I want it to be off to the side. So I'm just going to take one and place it around and decide what I like before I glue it on. So I usually roll around a little piece till I get it in the shape that I want. So that's what it looks like in the middle. That's kind of cool. And then, whoop. That's what it's like on the side. I don't know. Do you guys have an opinion? Should I do middle or should I do a doorknob here at the end? Like this. Thank you, Jenny, for saying my houses are so cute. You know, I come back from this sculpture workshop and I'm just kind of like, I started working on the other mushroom house last night. And I was like, you know, if this is the only thing I ever do, then maybe this is just enough because they make me so happy. Okay, so, oh, Kevin likes the middle and Jenny likes the right. Oh, no. I mean, they both, you know what I'm going to do? Okay, so on this one that I made, I did the knob in the middle. And so I don't even know why I did it in the middle on that one. But on this one, I think I am going to do it on the right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to use my little needle tool. I'm going to mess up some of my wood carving. It's okay. That's the whole point. I'm just kind of digging a little hole here to give my doorknob somewhere to sit, and a little seat to sit in. All right. Okay. So I got a little hole there. Now I'm going to just, again, go get my vinegar, put a little drop of vinegar right there. And then I'm going to stick my doorknob on there. And then I just I put my thumb on the back of the door back here, and I'm just kind of pressing in very lightly, but enough to make sure it's secured. There, cute. And then I'm going to just clean it up just a tiny bit around the edge, but I don't want to lose my wood grain. So I want to go really close to the doorknob because otherwise my wood grain will just get smeared. There, that's great. Now I'm going to go in. Oh my gosh, this moon is hilarious. I don't really know what to do to make it better. Let me see. So these are the little stamps that I use to make the moon, or the cookie cutters. So I'm just sticking it in there to see how it lines up and what needs to be taken out. What it looks like to me as I'm laying it on there is that this little inside part of the moon is sticking out a bit. So I'm going to try to take this tool and file that down a little, although I don't know that's going to be successful. No. All right. Okay. I think that made it a little bit better. Okay. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to make these same lines. Here's what I did on the other house where I kind of added these, I don't know what you call them other than like stretch lines or stress lines to show that there was, that this was growing out of the stem. And so I don't know. So I use different things. Again, it's one of those just depending on clay hardness. So I'm going to start with something light. I like this, so I'm going to dig in a little. And I'm not super precise with it, but I got to start somewhere, right? Some of them I dig a little bit down a little bit more. Some of them I make a little bit more shallow. Some I make longer and shorter. Just, you want it to be random. Now I'm leaving all the boogers on there for now until I can get them dried off, and then I'll brush them off. Oh my gosh. You probably can't hear that, but I thought that they were kids laughing outside, but it's these squawking birds. They've got to be some kind of gulls. All right, so now I'm going to brush off the little boogers. See, you're a little too wet still. Let's hit it with this. Now I'm just going back over that same area with my fingertips just to kind of take off the rough edges a little bit. But as I'm doing that, this is the biggest frustration that I have with myself is that I don't practice timing. I don't have patience. And so because I carved that when it was too wet, I've got a lot of boogers and a lot of stuff. If I would just be more patient, this would carve a lot cleaner. So I've got to now go in and recarve some areas because of the way I did that. So you can see that it's a little bit sloppy and messy. Again, I'm sorry for the blurry camera. I'm gonna have to figure that out a little bit, but yeah, it's a little bit messy. So I'm just gonna go in there and clean it up. But you get the gist. I just think it adds, I don't know, I really like that look of the carved in lines there. And so I'm just going to go and do that against either one of these windows just to a lesser degree. But lesson learned, before I do that, I am going to hit those areas with the dryer first. All right, let's see if that made any difference. So now when I carve, it's still a little wet, but it's better. And the other lesson is to be patient in brushing back the bits, because once they're dry, they should come off pretty easily, but I tend to brush them off before they're dry and then they leave a trail of woe. So I'm just using that same plastic tool to kind of draw some lines in here. Different depths, different lengths. Okay, so there's that window. I like that. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna not brush it off, and I'm gonna do this window. And this body got a little messed up here. Okay. All right, so I got the lines carved in around both of the windows. I like that. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit more after it dries. But now I have a question for you guys. So on this mushroom house that I made together with this, I don't know if you can see, but on the body of the house, I made these little round holes, you know, like often you would see on a mushroom cap, but I put it on the body because I think that's kind of cute and still gives the reference here and there. Um, but I was wondering if on this second one, if I should do that same thing. Do we want to do dots on the house itself? I'm kind of thinking no, because we do have the two windows and the giant door. And I could put the dots in the mushroom cap instead. Oh my gosh, that's warm in the city. You know what? I haven't been outside, but I've got the garage door open. Megan's asking what the weather's like. It seems like it's very beautiful outside. So I am going to be excited. Once I'm done with the live stream, I'm going to probably go out and check out the nature and the water going on here today. It's so funny because we used to live in Arizona, and right now in Arizona it's probably at least 110, 105, 110, and now we're so acclimated and we're so like NorCal people that if we get like over 72, it's like so hot. Like, what is happening? Okay, so Jenny likes the dots on the cap, which I agree. So what I'm going to use is I have these ball tools that I think I got these at Michael's. 3 different sizes of ball tools. And for the mushroom dots, I typically like to use one of these 2 sizes. It's interesting because on the biggest one, this one is a little bit smaller than that one over there. So let's start with this one and we see. And so generally I like to put my fingertips underneath the cap, just again, adding support. And I usually just add my first one and decide if I like that size or not. So I'm basically just pushing this tool in to make an indent. And I love it. Looks so cute. See? Yeah. Good call, Jenny. I think the dots on the cap are cute. So I'm gonna go around. I like this size. So I usually just randomly put dots. I don't follow any kind of a pattern, which drives myself crazy sometimes. But I've learned I really like randomness. So I usually just try to put them in different spots around. And you know, the deeper that you push this tool, the bigger the circle diameter will be. You could also make a really small one just by going boop, and then you can see that it's a smaller size than the rest of them. So sometimes I'll just do boop to add little extras if I need to fill in some space. And I do like to try to make these circles a little bit deeper because when you glaze it, um, the glaze can either pull there or break there, which breaking means like changes color on the edges. Um, and I think that could look really nice. But if the holes are a little, if these circles are a little too shallow, the glaze can sometimes just, you know, fill them in, and you don't really see them very well. Does the boop help with your technique? Yes, it does. What's so funny is that the instructor, the workshop instructor last week, I liked her so much. Her name is Kelsey Bowen. Go check out her website. But she was so funny. She's like, yeah, I use a lot of technical terms like boop and smush and so if you don't understand what that means, feel free to ask. And it was so funny. I was like, and she did throughout the whole week. She used what are those called? Onomatopoeias. Okay, I feel really good about the dots that are up front. I think I need another one back here, but I'm not sure where I want that to be yet. So let's try this here. And I think I need another one right here. And maybe another one down here. There. I think I feel pretty good. Maybe one more right here. And maybe one more right here. Boop. Cute. I like that a lot. I love it. Love it. And now I remember too, I got to make those little lines right here where the little mushroom stem is coming out of the cap. And let's see. I guess I'll try to use this again. Actually, I'm going to use the softest thing I have, which is this rubber tipped brush bristle thing. See how that works. And the reason I'm doing that is because this mushroom is so delicate, but it's too dry now, so that's not really showing up. So what I think I'll do, actually this ball tool is really good to use for lines too. You'd be surprised. I'm going to use that one. And what I like about the ball tool, this one for making lines, is that it tends to be a little bit smoother. Doesn't leave as many of the boogers. I don't know why I didn't use this one earlier. But there you see how it's kind of just adding those little lines in there makes it look like it's like bursting up out of the cap. And I like that. And so that's pretty much it. I think we're done. I mean, I've got to go in and clean up a bunch of the inside where when I carved through and pushed through the windows, there's a lot of like little cleanup there, but I'm sure you guys aren't really interested in watching me do that. But this is the way it looks, and I think it looks great. Let's see, what camera should I put up against? Maybe this one. And so with the thing underneath it, let's see, how can I best show this to you? Oh, I love it. So let me see if I can show this on on the laptop camera. Let's see. Yeah, you can see how the little lights are shining through. Front door. Yeah, she's great. So what could be fun? So what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to name all of these because I think the naming is so fun. I have Mist Hollow. She's one that is an incense cone holder, and the mist comes out the top of her. So I named that one Mist Hollow. I have Emberwick Cottage. I have Mooncap Cottage. Those are the three I think that I've actually physically named. And so this is new. I've made a bunch of these, but I've not really named them. And now I've started naming them. So yeah, I am totally down to hear ideas for names for anything. If you guys think of it, I would love to hear your ideas. And also ideas for who lives in these places. Oh, I forgot. Guys, this is always so important too. So underneath the main mushroom cap, I like to always carve lines in too, the gills of a mushroom. So in order to do that, I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to make sure to not knock off the chimney, and I'm going to hold it against me because it's still a little wet. The mushroom cap is still a little wet. And I'm going to try that ball tool that I said I should have been using all along. And I'm just going to, yeah, that's going to work good. I'm just going to carve up a bunch of gills under here. I know it's hard to see in the camera. Let me see if I can lean forward a little bit. Again, got to watch how far down I'm holding this thing because I could easily knock that mushroom chimney off. So I'm just pulling this up and carving those gills in. So that's kind of what it's looking like underneath there. Let's see, what are some other names for, like this one has a moon in it. So maybe we think of another cool, fun name that has a reference to the moon. Moonlight. And I need to think of another word for cottage because cottage is so cute, but every single mushroom place can't really be a cottage, right? Um, let's see. Bungalow? um, Nook. I like the word nook. Or like, what are forest names? Like Ferndale or Creekside or um, Clover. I don't know. I'm trying to think of when I go hiking, like all the plants and flowers and banana slugs. What if a banana slug lived in one of these mushrooms? I think that would be the cutest thing I've ever seen. I was thinking about making a banana slug pipe. It's banana slugs are highly loved. Did you know that? I feel like I was with somebody recently who's like obsessed with banana slugs, and I thought that was so funny. They are pretty amazing though. They're very bright. If you've never seen one. One time we were all on a hike together in Purisma, Redwoods Park, and I don't know, it must have been uh, um, what am I talking about? What are those bugs? I totally lost. I totally had perimenopause brain. I can't remember. Oh, banana slug. We were counting banana slugs, and I think we lost track at like, I don't know, 60, 70. Kevin and Megan would probably remember, but it was insane. And they're so cute. We have a video of one, like Kevin zoomed way up on it while it was eating a leaf. And it's so cute. Their little mouths and everything. Okay. So this ball tool is definitely the way to go. I got way less. I'll have to do a little cleanup, but not nearly as much. All right, let's see if I can hold this up to the camera somehow. So got all the gills carved in there. They look great. Just another little detail. I know most people don't see them, but you do when you lift it up. And so now, just going to do a little bit of, you know, cleanup of scratches, and most of which will get covered by glaze anyway. But just there's kind of, I'm just doing the final little cleanup here. All right. I actually think I'm going to add some of those same kind of, just wood grain type of lines. I'm going to get just in the inside of this moon, it's bothering me. And so I thought, well, maybe if I add some texture in there, it won't bother me as much. That looks better. It looks like, yeah, it's just giving it kind of like a wood grain texture on the inside. So it looks like it was cut out. All right. That looks better, I think. Now I just need for them to dry. Okay. So I added some little wood grain to the inside of the mushroom window. And now I feel like I'm done. Awesome. This is cute, guys. My first mushroom houses made from beginning to end on live stream. That's so fun. Thanks for letting me, thanks for watching me. If you think of any cute names, let me know. Other cottagey words you could use in the name. Burrow, yes. Homestead, hut, hovel. I love hovel. Hut, yes. Those are great. That's exactly what I was looking for. Let's think. Sorry, my nose is running. Ooh, I like hut or hovel. Let's think. Hmm. I'll think about that. I'll come back next live stream and let you know what name. I like hut and I like hovel a lot. And burrow. Burrow's really cute too. Ooh, burrow. Okay. I have to always think about something for a second. I can't think of it off the top. But anyway, I'm really happy with this piece. I love the way that it turned out. I love the windows, and I'm really into the square windows lately, the square panes. I think that's really cute. So yeah, looks great. We'll come back on another live stream and we'll glaze it and we'll figure out how we want to paint it. So here's our two mushroom houses that we did together. One of them I started and finished on my own, but then the other one we did together fully. So hope you love them. They will be they will be for sale at Art Space on the Coast as soon as I finish them up. And so I will let you know when they're available. And actually, before we even get there, we'll glaze this one together, and you can help me pick out colors and everything. That'd be so fun. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up a little early since we're done. It's 2:53. I will be back on Thursday, and thanks you guys so much for coming and being with me. I just really appreciate it so much, and I love hanging out with you guys. Um, yeah, so just feeling very, very grateful. All right, I shall talk to you guys on Thursday. Okay, take care.